We're going to be talking about getting your music marketing house in order because we've probably been letting some things go, not paying attention to certain properties that we manage for our career just because, the state the world's been in. So, number one, update your bio. It's always good to go back and look what it says. Probably some things have happened. Maybe you've released music. Artists always neglect their bio. Forget the pandemic. You've probably not updated your bio because just artists are terrible at updating our bios. So go check that out. Number two, refresh your website. Go put a new coat of paint on your website and maybe try a new theme. Just make it look fresh. You don't have to build it from the ground up. Just freshen it up, add some new content, move some things around, give people the idea that have been there a handful of times recently that new things are happening. Take new pics, new band photos, new artist photos. You don't have to hire a photographer. If you've got an iPhone, the cameras on those are amazing. Just take some well thought out photos that feel more like band photos, not just snapshots, and get those updated. That's another indicator to people that new stuff is happening. Audit your social presence, and auditing your social presence might mean updating header images, logos. May just take stock in what has value, what you should be focusing on, and all that. Number five, reassess your social usage. I think that goes along with number four. Maybe your audience has moved on to a new platform. Like if you're just starting to re-engage with your career, maybe you've been kind of just laying low for the last couple of years. Maybe your audience is on a different social platform. Maybe not. But really assessing what has value for you, and it's okay to let go of things that no longer have value. Number six, keep track of the numbers. It's always good to dive into your analytics and see what's happening, what's connecting, because a lot of times we neglect these things. And, I'm not one to say that you should be like hyper invested in analytics, but they are good indicators of opportunities for your music. Maybe success is happening where you didn't know, but just re-engage with those. A lot of times you find good marketing hooks in there, some inspiration around content. It's good to dive in there. Number seven, maximize revenue opportunities. You've heard me talk on this podcast a lot about how I love my band Zoogle website because they have a commission-free selling from the website, a great store, all this store functionality. And it's been an opportunity for me that I've focused on during the pandemic to maximize sales opportunities there, whether it's a zip file of our entire music catalog that I put there for a price, or a PDF download, like sheet music, or selling CDs and physical merch. We have these cool buttons that we have that I just really took the opportunity to maximize revenue opportunities there. And speaking of that, number eight, it is time to think about merch. If you are heading back out to play shows, what's your merch situation? Do you have what you need? There's lots of options that don't involve buying enormous amount of stuff and having boxes and boxes of triple XL and double small t-shirts stuck in your basement. So there's options out there in order to fill out that merch table. T-shirts are great, but I know a lot of artists feel like they get stuck with a lot of sizes that people don't want. And we have info about that for you too on our blog that can help with that. But stock up on merch. Number nine, update your ad strategy. If you've got some shows, if you've just got more activity, think about your opportunities to add some momentum with some advertising, whether that's through show.co, our ad platform that we have that can help you target and reach music fans, or Facebook ads or video ads, whatever. Start thinking about that and thinking about the opportunities for you to move your career forward with that. And number 10, redefine content. And I think there's, a lot of artists get stuck in a vein of, oh, this is what I have to do to connect with people. But as we've seen, social platforms evolve quickly. Not only the platforms we may have been using evolve, and what might have worked in the past no longer works, but then new platforms emerge, like TikTok has exploded. Is that an opportunity for you? Are your fans there? Is it not? What do you have to do to engage there? Is it totally different than what you've been doing? That's something to reassess. So, Chris, what do you think about that list? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on the updating your ad strategy. It reminds me of something you were talking about the other day, which is how Facebook in particular is, I believe Google and YouTube might be doing something similar, but they're restricting the targeting options basically. So you might have gotten used to, if you're running Facebook ads, targeting sounds like artists and saying like, oh, Billie Eilish, I'm going to target her fans. That might not be an option for you anymore. So the way in which you even conceptualize who your audience, your targetable audience is, may be completely different now that you're back in the swing of it post COVID. So that might be something you reassess about your ad strategy, is how to find audiences online. Tied in with that, I'm also thinking when reassessing your social usage, we recorded a whole episode about this like maybe 3 episodes ago, but basically how it's a whole episode about how in some ways social is completely still necessary, but also such a drain on our energy and sense of self-esteem as artists sometimes. So I think it's completely fine to take stock in a just sort of mental health way about
Yeah.
how social is serving you and how it's screwing you, because it's probably doing a bit of both. And the things that aren't working for you, feel free to stop doing them, because these things are ad platforms more than they're social platforms. And if that's true, it means you can just create some ads, create a winning ad strategy, test things, and then just run ads. And that can help you build audience instead of you feeling like you're getting on the hamster wheel or treadmill or whatever we called it that just never ends. And similarly, like Kevin mentioned, platforms are constantly changing and constantly shifting what sort of content they prioritize. That doesn't have to mean you keep chasing, just because Instagram now favors reels doesn't mean you necessarily need to make 15-second funny skit videos. Like, if you just take cool still photos, keep doing that. If you're really into writing essays, keep doing that. Like, your audience is out there. You'll find them. You don't always have to just stick with the trend. And the last thing on this list that made me laugh is take new pics. And I laughed because at some point in the pandemic, I said to my wife, can you take some photos of me in the backyard? Because I've got a lot more gray in my beard than I did during my last photo shoot. I think we've all aged about 10 times the amount we should have in the past 2 years. And let's not lie to the world. Let's take pictures of our new beleaguered selves.
Yeah. And we said new pics, not nude pics.
Yeah, although, I don't want to dampen your creativity.
You mentioned, is social media serving us or are we serving it?
Oh,
Because I think
yeah.
a lot of times that's really what we're doing. We're serving them. And you made a very good point that can't be stated enough, that these are all ad platforms now. We are the product and the advertisers are there to reach us. So you got to make sure that what you're doing there is serving your career.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff in there.